Hello, everybody. Welcome to Adrian's book channel. I am Adrian, and today we're going to be talking about a little haul that I recently picked up from a local library. My wife and I went, and I was the lucky one who didn't have to watch the kids in the car. And so I just ran into this local library of ours and was surprised that they had recently changed out a lot of their selection and came out with a stack of books that my wife was surprised to see, but in a good way, I think, because some of these books look pretty cool. Some of our local libraries have different things going on. Like one of our local libraries does like a monthly sale where it's this big sale, and I feel like sometimes they don't update the stock. Although maybe that's not true. Maybe sometimes they do. It depends month by month. But sometimes the stock is very much updated. Sometimes it isn't. But it's still a cool sale because there's so many books. Another library that we go to has a really great front sale section, which is up every day, up and running. I should say, I don't know if I said that the other library with the monthly sale that happens once a month, so you have to be there on that day. Or on that weekend, I think. And as I said, sometimes it's updated, sometimes it's not from the prior months. But a different library of ours, every day they have a sale area, and that is usually updated pretty well. And we hadn't been there in a while, so I hopped out and went in. And as I said, was pretty surprised to see some cool books. So this is a little haul. I don't think I've read any of these. I'm pretty sure I haven't read any of these. And and it's not going to be a review anyway. There's just talking about books that we found recently. So the first one that I'm holding is Musical Instruments Through the Ages. This is a Pelican original, and for those who don't know, Pelican is owned by Penguin, and I don't think they do these anymore. This one was published a while ago. I know that. I don't know. It's in pretty good shape though. This one was first published in 1961, but this one was reprinted a bunch of times, and this is from 1976. And these are the blue spines, which are fun because we don't really find these too often anywhere anymore. So when we find them, we pick them up. But we love Penguin as a excuse me, as a company. And Penguin Black Spines in particular, we love those books. They're great for a lot of different reasons. As so many of us know on BookTube, they're great as paperbacks. They're well built. They hold up reasonably well. But the cover designs are great. We love the classic design. Also, the scholarship that goes into those books are really great. And sometimes when you're traveling or whatever, you don't want to bring like a big hardcover with you. It's nice to have a paperback that you can kind of throw into a briefcase or whatever and bring with you. It doesn't weigh you down, and it's still a great copy to read out of, a good reading copy. So we like Penguin for that reason a lot. And these are Pelicans, but again, owned by Penguin, and it's cool to stack these things up on a shelf and see your collection grow and get to them when you can. This is obviously about music. Both of us are musicians of sort. I grew up playing the trumpet and played pretty much until college, and then once college hit, started studying guitar and started focusing on classical guitar. And my wife was, instead of trumpet, I think she did piano most of her life, and also flute. And she also sings way better than I can sing. So yeah. So looking forward to talking about this one day. Next on the list, I'll do this one. Next on the list is Chess: The Easy Way by Ruben Fine. I haven't heard of this book before, which is probably not good. I probably should have heard of it because I love chess so much. Chess is a great game, frustrating game, but I guess that's a good thing because you don't want it to be easy. But although this is called The Easy Way. The chess is just one of those games where even as you get better, you have to put in some concerted effort into getting better. And then as you do get better, you're happy for a moment because you realize you've gotten better, but then you realize that there are millions of other players who are at that level that you just arrived at. And so then you start losing all over again. So it can be frustrating, but I think my brother, I think, said to me once, talking about jujitsu, it's not how you lose. It's not if you lose. It's more about just getting better, especially when you lose, just getting better. So I think about that in terms of chess as a martial art, in a sense, where you are you're kind of playing against yourself, even though you're playing either against a computer or somebody else live, either virtually or in person. But you're still kind of playing against yourself. I think the most important thing is just to get better, because otherwise, it's just supposed to be fun. It's a game. And so this book, I was intrigued by it because it says it's a complete step-by-step illustrated guide for the beginner, including the basic principles of opening, middle, and endgame strategy. That part there, basic principles of opening, middle, and endgame, caught my eye because I'm definitely not a beginner at chess. Definitely not great, but I'm definitely not a beginner. And when I study opening and middle and endgame theory, I realized that I spend a lot of time memorizing scenarios and then like working on tactics as those scenarios play themselves out in different situations. And you realize quickly that there's so much basic information that is available that you'd be benefited by if you knew about. So even though this is a beginner's book, I think I was perusing through it at the library and realized that there's so much in here that I even don't know, or I can refresh up on. So thought I should check it out. I realize now I have to make a video about chess, about chess books and things like that. Chess is a great game. But anyway, chess, the easy way. Okay. Next is the best of H.P. Lovecraft. Haven't read much Lovecraft. I've been, as I mentioned on a previous video, I've been reading a lot of Arthur Machen recently and really was surprised to see how much I liked the supernatural horror genre. As I said, I forget who it was that inspired me to start getting into Machen, but I was happy I did because he's a great writer. Who was it? It'll come to me. Because I read two novels of his, and then I read almost all of his short stories, and just realized that he's great. And it kind of made me think differently about the horror genre. I always thought the horror genre was kind of like silly or not like high literature in a sense, and that sounds kind of snotty. But it doesn't have to be high literature. But like I guess I always thought of the horror genre as growing up in like the 80s and 90s, thinking of cheesy horror movies and thinking that the books were kind of like that silliness. Although that's not to say there aren't some awesome horror movies out there. But anyway, when I picked up these books, I was really surprised how much I enjoyed them and how entertaining they were. They're really entertaining. So I started off reading a lot of Machen, and then now I'm going to be jumping into Algernon Blackwood before I get into really getting into Lovecraft, because my understanding is Machen and Blackwood really, and a lot of others, but they really influenced Lovecraft, who then went on to influence so many other people. So as I said, looking forward to jumping into this soon. This is the dime novel Desperados, the notorious Maxwell brothers. So my wife and I live in Illinois. We moved here with our two kids for my work. And this book was intriguing because it's about the Maxwell brothers, who apparently had one of the largest, if not the largest, criminal manhunt underway in the history of the United States about these two guys, or their brothers, and I had never heard of them. So figured it would be worth checking this book out. So pretty cool. Haven't heard anything about them ever up until a couple days ago, and so I naturally haven't read this, but looking forward to reading it. Covenant with the Vampire. This is mainly because my wife and I are hosting a small book club with friends virtually who are out of state, and we just finished Frankenstein, and now we're starting Dracula. Although my wife just finished Dracula, also I have to finish Dracula, and so just kind of intrigued by vampire literature, and haven't read this. This is The Diaries of Emily Dracul. So it's kind of like the Dracula mythos, I guess. Looking forward to checking it out. Another vampires. This is 2 Centuries of Great Vampire Stories. So looks kind of cool and in really good shape. Haven't read it, but we're gonna be finishing Dracula and discussing Dracula and then getting into this. Tales of Terror and the Supernatural. So I don't know if I said this, but I think I cleaned out my library's book sale section of their Halloween stuff. So, but the good thing is I think they have a lot of duplicates of books, and they also have a lot of whatever genre they're highlighting. They have a lot of books, as you can imagine, in that genre. So even though I might have cleaned them out, I'm sure if you go in there now, it's probably full now of just different books of this Halloween type genre. So this is Tales of Terror and the Supernatural, Wilkie Collins. Haven't read much Wilkie Collins, and there are other things I want to read before I get into him. But was just intrigued by this cover and just by the subject matter. Again, supernatural fiction I've been digging recently, so looking forward to talking about that. Keeping with the horror stuff, Midnight Graffiti with stories by Stephen King, Harlan Ellison, Dan Simmons, David Show, and Nancy Collins. I wonder if there's any relation there to Wilkie. But just another, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Another smorgasbord of horror fiction. I'm thinking of a word. I'm not thinking of a word that I want to come to mind. Anyway, you get the idea. Haven't read it. Looking forward to checking it out. Cold Hand in Mind: Strange Stories by Robert Aickman. Have heard so much about Robert Aickman. Heard that he's been influential and inspired a lot of other people, and also just quality supernatural fiction writer. Haven't read much of his. Looking forward to this book. I actually heard that he's not the easiest guy to even find, depending on what you're looking for. But I was pumped when I found this. Again, pretty good shape, and I like these cellophane library wraps because they really do protect the books, as you can tell. Because up like this one, the ones that are wrapped in them, they just end up staying in good shape. Wuthering Heights. So we just finished Frankenstein, as I said. That actually might be behind me. No, it's not. We just finished Frankenstein, the 1818 text, which was great. And we read it out of these Norton critical editions. And these are really good. Each one has all different, it's a critical edition. They have essays and decent notes. I would say that the Penguin Black scholarship and in terms of the notes might be better. These are really good for like essays and like critical thought in the back, where they'll have a lot, like half of the book usually is the book itself, the novel, and then like literary criticism type stuff. And the scholarship is good too, in terms of like the notes and the appendices and stuff like that. But Penguin Black, I think, is really, and also Oxford World Classics are great with that too. But these are good, as I said, for like those long essays in the back. And the Frankenstein edition that we read was great. And I also find I like these too because paper quality is good. There's very minimal ghosting. The paper quality is good, and these things hold up. I think these are probably designed for college kids, or high school kids or whatever. And the ones that we see they just have sturdy spines, and they hold up, so they can form a cool collection in your library. And as classics go, we love classics, so they're kind of cool. We love. I would say those are our three kind of biggies in terms of classics. We love the scholarship in Penguin Black spines, Oxford World Classics, and these Norton critical editions. We like checking out. my wife and I and kids, especially our two and a half year old, loved setting up a garden this year. And this is the complete garden planning book. Ambitious and pretty intense. I mean, I don't foresee us planning a garden anytime soon, but it's kind of a cool reference thing to have in your library because I could see us getting more and more into it. Right now, we're renting a house. So we're not really going to be doing much elaborate garden work at all. I just set up a couple of box gardens and planted a bunch of cool plants, vegetables, and they turned out really great. But eventually, maybe we check this out and get a more serious garden once we have our own house again. So that's that. The Complete Garden Planning Book. Robin Hook Pirate Hunter. This seemed kind of cool, something that my son would dig. And I think that's it. So I haven't read that Robin Hook book, but let you know how it is. So thank you very much. And next video I might be doing is a book I just finished by David Gemmell called Legend. So if you made it this far in the video, the next video might be a book review on that book. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will check you next time. Thanks.